The Secretary Hagel gave us an estimate of a price tag, and we heard some surprising news about who all of a sudden is willing to pay for it. We'll go to the Pentagon coming up inside Fox Report. First, though, President Obama says he always reserves the right to take action on his own to protect America's national security. But he also says he did not ask for a debate in Congress just for show. And he claims it's not his credibility at stake here because he didn't set the red line about chemical weapons.
I didn't set a red line. The world set a red line. The world set a red line when governments representing 98% of the world's population said the use of chemical weapons are abhorrent and passed a treaty forbidding their use even when countries are engaged in war. Congress set a red line when it ratified that treaty.
So he says the credibility of Congress and the United States and the entire world is on the line in Syria, not his. Team Fox coverage continues. Wendell Goller traveling with the president in Stockholm. Wendell?
Shepard, the president used part of his time on this stop in Sweden, which he scheduled after canceling a meeting with Vladimir Putin in Moscow, to try and build international support for military action in Syria, which, of course, Mr. Putin opposes. The Russian leader says the evidence about who used chemical weapons in Syria is as suspect as the intelligence the U.S. said showed Iraq had weapons of mass destruction 10 years ago. Mr. Putin doesn't deny someone used chemical weapons, but he says when Russians ask for additional information to try and pin down who, they're told it's classified. President Obama says there's plenty of evidence.
We have intercepts indicating people in the chain of command both before and after the attacks with knowledge of these attacks. We can show that the rockets that delivered...
He's lying. Look at his face. He's lying.
...from areas controlled by Assad into these areas where the opposition was lodged.
Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel told lawmakers on Capitol Hill the Russians provided the Syrians with at least some of the chemical weapons stocks. The president made his case for responding to Syria's chemical weapons attacks at a dinner with the leaders of 5 Nordic countries that went an hour later than scheduled this evening. Tomorrow he heads to St. Petersburg, Russia, where the issue will be the biggest item not officially on the agenda of the G20 summit, Shepard.
Wendell Goller in Sweden. And Wendell, one of the big troubles here is the refugee crisis, and Sweden is the first European country to offer asylum to any Syrian who requests it. As we reported last night, United Nations officials say more than 2 million people have left Syria during this uprising. They're now refugees, living in many times in camps like this one in Iraq. We'll get a report from the Syrian border coming up inside Fox Report. Just hours before the Senate committee voted for a strike on Syria, al-Qaeda-linked rebels there attacked a Christian village that's under regime control. A nun who witnessed the attack told the Associated Press that the rebels seized a mountaintop hotel, shelled the neighborhood below. The rebels reportedly killed 8 Syrian army soldiers and took out their tanks. The nun said that dozens of villagers took shelter in the convent, which is used to house orphans. All the Syria action on Capitol Hill actually helped drive up the Dow today. Ahead, we'll show you how the crisis is affecting our economy and why we should all keep a very close eye on what happens next. Plus, a stabbing at the high school, and by the time it was all over, 3 teenagers were